All right, welcome officially to day one of the Crack Your Consistency Code Challenge. All right, now today we are covering the absolute worst way to start a health program, right? And this is going to be the first consistent C in the Crack Your Consistency Code. So again, make sure that you open that email with your blueprint. It is your consistency code quadrant, and I will be revealing one of the consistent C's. See? Each day of the challenge, okay? Today is all about learning what it will take to get you specifically, in particular, uniquely you, showing up for your aligned eating, exercise, and equanimity frequently enough to feel, see, and keep health results. Now, one of the hardest parts of staying consistent in wellness is wanting to give up when you are not seeing immediate results. Am I right? You feel like you're doing everything. You're working out every day, you're sweating, you are either reducing your calorie intake or your carb intake or your sugar intake, you're reducing something. You feel like you're doing all the things, but then you either step on the scale and it's half a pound higher and it just crushes your soul, or you are like not feeling that your clothes are getting any looser, or you're not feeling stronger or getting more energy. You're just not seeing things immediately, right? And instead of thinking, okay, that just means it's only been 2.5 days, right? So maybe I should give it a little bit more time. No, you're like, this thing sucks. Health is the worst, and I'm not going to try this anymore. And you give up. So that is one major blocker of consistency. And unfortunately, there is a shocking percentage of health seekers who fall victim to these same three problems, right? Number one, they go into a health program thinking, how can I get skinny fast for this upcoming vacation or this upcoming event, right? Or I can just eat whatever the heck I want this whole entire weekend and I'll start fresh Monday. And actually, I already ate a cookie on Wednesday, so I might as well start binging Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is more than half of the week, mind you, and I'll start fresh Monday. And then number three, folks might think, why should I even exercise when it takes months to see physical changes anyways? Like nothing's going to change on my body. I'm just not going to work out. Right? But what the most consistent health seekers have figured out is that once you know your ultimate destination and confirm exactly how you want to look, feel, move, work, and socialize, showing up for your aligned eating and exercise becomes effortless. In fact, most people don't realize that every consistency queen or consistency king they see eating salads and making smoothies and lifting weights, those folks, they're not waking up every single day with like this magical motivation and inspiration. Instead, these kings and queens have simply defined their personal wellness vision. All right. I call it your ideal health self. And it's different for everybody. While one person might want to be ripped and toned and strong and fast, another person might just want to feel good in their own skin. And that's subjective to them specifically. So these folks who have pretty much nailed it with consistency, they have created triggers for themselves to remember this vision every time their motivation starts to fizzle. So let's imagine transforming your time and energy excuses, because those are two of the biggest excuses when it comes to not showing up for health consistently, taking those and turning those excuses into unstoppable health actions, and then pouring gasoline on it by leveraging your personality. All right, so this is exactly what I'm going to help you do today. So again, take your trusty consistency code quadrant, and you are going to fill in number one. Number one is conclusion. So consistency, number one today on day one, is your conclusion. So write it in the top block of your blueprint. Now, there's a wrong way and there's a right way to start any food or fitness program. So let's start with the wrong way. All right. One of the wrong ways is going in blind with no vision for success. So, one of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to starting a health program is, again, not having this clear vision for their desired outcome. Now, here is why this blurry approach is problematic. So, number one, it's easy to lose direction and motivation. So, imagine starting your car with no destination in mind, right? You're like, okay, I need to just get somewhere. Like what? Or I need to get to the store. Let's get a little more specific. But like you don't know what store, right? Maybe you're giving directions to somebody. Go to the store. Like you know that you need to go to the store, but what do you need? You need a list. Well, what is the list? Are you making a specific recipe? Are you getting ready for back to school and you need lunch items to be packed, right? Is it just your average weekly trip that you're doing? You need a little bit more specificity, okay? And so I like to say too that losing 20 pounds is not your vision of health. So we're going to get a lot more specific into what that is, right? So this is no way to start a health program either with this blurry vision, right? So it's a total recipe of giving up by day 4 per usual. Now, without this clear vision of how you want to be living, it's challenging to keep showing up every day, right? So having a well-defined endpoint is going to help you stay focused and committed throughout your journey. So that's number one, why you can't have this blurry reason, this like vague reason for starting a health program or starting to clean up your act and get your health together. Number two is you also risk prioritizing short-term gains over long-term health improvements. So starting a health program thinking, I just want to lose 20 pounds or I just want to get ripped, right? That might prompt you to choose those quick fixes and temporary results over sustainable long-term improvements. There is so much more than weight and looks when it comes to showing up and actually wanting to show up for your health every day. And this clear vision of your ideal health self helps you recognize the importance of making choices that benefit you today and 10 years from now. Alrighty. So these short-term gains might have you be choosing short-term tactics like drastic diets or insane fitness schedules that might make you feel good for a week, but then you're not going to be able to keep that going. And the whole point of this challenge is to learn what's going to help keep you going. All right. And reason number 3 why you need a clear vision of what you're going after is that you might fall into the trap of generic one size fits all health programs that don't fit your needs. You know what I'm talking about? Like, love Beachbody and the hundreds, if not thousands of workouts that they have, but they don't know you. So you should be taking the Beachbody programs or On Demand or Body, whatever it's called now. You should be taking those and creating your own program and not necessarily following what they have laid out for the general public, right? That's made for the masses. And you might stop after week 3 or even day 3 because it's not aligned to your goals, your personality, your priorities. So unspecified outcomes always start with unspecified inputs. So what do I mean? It's that if you don't visualize who you want to be as your healthiest self, then you will likely choose any old trending health fad that doesn't align with your personality, preferences, or priorities. So your health journey should be tailored to your individuality. Alrighty? So the better way to start a health program is to begin with the end in mind by determining your ultimate health conclusion, right? Your ideal health self. Now, this means envisioning your desired state of physical fitness, nutrition, mental well-being, lifestyle habits, right? So getting very specific. And here is why this approach is superior. Number one, it sets the foundation for your entire program, right? It also enhances your motivation and it aligns your efforts with your health objectives, right? So having this vision really sets the stage for why you are doing what you're doing in the first place, number one. And number two, How are you going to know if you're even doing a good job if you don't have anything to base it off of, right? And then number two, it really gives you a clear sense of purpose and direction for your health journey. So beyond this one, like 28, 30, 90-day program that you're doing, it really helps give you that clear sense of why, which we're going to be getting into later on in the program, why you're doing this and why and how you can keep going beyond the first week, 30 days, quarter. All right. So today's assignment is going to be to create your conclusion. Now, there's 3 steps. So you wrote down conclusion on the consistency code quadrant. I recommend getting a journal or a notebook, or if you want to write something, on your phone, your notes app, Notion, having a journal for this 5-day challenge, because this will help you really jot down and give yourself room and space to really get specific on what it is that you want, why you want it, what's blocking you, and how exactly you're going to get there. So get that journal, get that notebook, and there's 3 steps to creating your conclusion. Number 1, you need to visualize and write down your ideal health self. Now, I said this earlier, losing 20 pounds is not a vision, right? So you want to detail your response. So how do you look? Number 1, how does your skin look? What about your eyes, your face, your hair, your teeth, your arms, your legs, your backside, right? Get very specific on this vision, how you are appearing. How do you see yourself? How do you want others to see you? That's number 1. Number 2, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning, when you're all alone, when you are with others, right before bed? How do you want to feel? Number 3, how do you want to move, right? So when you're working out, when you are out running errands, when you're with loved ones, right? Your movement throughout the day. Put this specifically in your vision. How do you want to be moving, right? Next, how do you work? Right? So let's say that you picture yourself, I think of it in 3 different stages, whether you're working full-time, you're a full-time mom, or you are retired or an empty nester, and you guys have all sorts of events and activities. So, and think of that as working, kind of like how you spend your day, right? So when you're doing the things that you are responsible for, how are you thinking? How are you problem solving? How are you presenting, right? How are you negotiating and giving feedback and receiving feedback? This can be with bosses or direct reports or the air conditioner guy, or this could be with your children. So think of that in all those situations. And then finally, how do you socialize, right? So when you're with your friends, when you're with people who you're meeting for the first time, when you're with loved ones, when you're with coworkers, when you're with neighbors, in your vision of health, how are you socializing? So do you see here, now this is just step 1 in creating your conclusion. It's not, I want to lose 20 pounds, right? Or I just want to be fit. No, how you look, how you feel, how you move, how you work, how you socialize. So journal that all out. If you need to pause this video so that you can get that all down, do it. And, I love setting the tone and setting the environment for exercises like this. So if you want to light some candles, play some music, make some tea or coffee, go for it. Because now we're going into step 2. Step 2 in creating your conclusion is defining your conclusion time frame. Now, most people choose their goal and then they declare this like realistic timeline to achieve it, right? Like your bland goal. I want to lose 20 pounds. And then you create this timeline backwards from that. And you're like, oh, well, I want to do it in 2 months because I have this reunion or I have this vacation, right? So we do it the opposite way here at Whole Hearty Health LLC. And here's why. When you define your clear vision of health first, you get to decide when you want to start living that life. Okay. So the answer is often right freaking now. So instead of thinking like, oh, that like vision of health looks great, but I will get to that in 10 years. No, you want to start working on it now. So then you are more apt to choose an earlier vision timeline than goal timeline. Because what can happen too is even if you have this event coming up, 20 pounds might sound nice someday, right? But your vision of health, of how you want to show up and who you want to be, you want to start taking action on that now. So in step 2 of defining your conclusion, it's setting a date to achieve your conclusion. So this vision of health, do you want to start living that way in 10 years, in 5 years, in 3 years, in a year? Or do you want to start behaving that way as soon as possible? So think through that. Alrighty, that was step 2. Finally, here is step 3 in the creating your conclusion assignment. You are going to break down the vision into smaller goals to track your progress and stay motivated. Now, not everybody likes goals. When I was a group fitness instructor and health coach for Fit for Mom, we started out with goals kind of like the backwards way. And I had women say, I don't even want to create a goal. I just, whatever happens, happens. I don't want to create a goal because I never achieve my goals. And then I get really, really down on myself. And then I start eating even more and eating even worse and working out even less because it's just a reminder that I don't achieve goals. Horrible way to look at wellness, right? But it's common. It happens every single day. So when it comes to breaking down your vision into smaller goals, it really relates to the fact that if you're like me, like I should have a to-do list nearby. My to-do lists are stupid. They are 30 things that I genuinely in the morning at 7:25 after a fresh cup of coffee, I'm like, of course I'm going to hit all these 25 things today because I wrote them down. No, I get to like 3 or 4 of them. So, but then what does that do? That makes me feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not productive enough. What was I doing during all that time? Did those 3 or 4 things take, 3 times the length that I thought they would? So that's why when you break your vision into smaller goals, you don't have to beat your vision tomorrow. You have small steps that you have these small wins. It's almost like reading a book of short chapters. I love those freaking things, right? When a chapter is 2 pages, you feel like you're crushing it. You're like, yes, I can read books because the chapters are short. And that is what we are going to do with our vision. We are going to have very short goals leading up to that vision. So you continue that momentum, you feel those small wins rather than running a marathon tomorrow, right? Start researching shoes and start researching marathons. Don't run the marathon in one day. Alrighty. So there's this really gross analogy that says, how do you eat an elephant? Like you don't, but the answer is one bite at a time. So that is the same when you're trying to achieve your health conclusion, right? So the goals act as checkpoints that allow you to celebrate your progress and maintain your momentum. They serve as reminders for how far you've come to keep you focused on the bigger picture. And then the more specific and measurable your goals, the easier it is to really track your progress. Okay. So when you see your conclusion right here, your vision of health, and you've written down how you want to look, feel, act, work, move, socialize. So, and you've started to you've got your timeline for when you want to start living in that way. Now, what's the most important to you? And the way that I like to explain this is the domino effect. Which one domino that if you knock over, not that everything falls down, everything starts flowing, because there's something really satisfying about watching like 100 dominoes fall down, right? It's just like, okay. So when it comes to which goal you want to achieve first, which goal you want to set for yourself first, think of what would be the most satisfying. Don't make it the biggest, hairiest, scariest. Don't make it something that you hate doing. When you're breaking down that vision into goals and you have your timeline, think of something that you will look forward to doing and is very achievable for you to achieve first. Okay. So you set your conclusion, you set a timeline, you broke it down into goals. This is the way to start really seeing what is possible for you. Now, here's what I want to explain. It sounds simple, but it needs to stick. Okay. So it's easy to have this vision of health, but what happens when you're like, you know what? I have been eating this birthday cake for 2 days. I'm freaking done with it. But you know what? I might as well finish it. I don't want to throw it away, right? You forget your conclusion. You forget your conclusion and you are stuck in the identity of who you used to be and how you used to behave. So there are two common mistakes that people make with their conclusion. So here is what they are and how to overcome them. So mistake number one, forgetting all about your conclusion, right? I could easily say, create your conclusion and your goals. Ta-da, go. No, because I know that people forget about them. All right. So it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, losing sight of your health goals, but you must make a constant reminder of what you are working towards. So here are 2 hot tips to help you avoid forgetting about your vision, your ideal health self. All right. Hot tip number 1, keep your conclusion in a place where you see it every day, top of mind. So this could be like your phone's home screen. This could be a sticker on your mirror. Maybe you have like a book that you're reading every night. You can put that a sticky note, like a bookmark in that book, on your nightstand, on your desk, on your mirror. Create a vision board. You have to really, that vision, you have to remind yourself of it every single day or you will forget about it. It's crazy. It's so important having this vision, but you just don't remember it, right? Like we remember to pick up our kids at school or at their friend's house. I was gonna say the doctor, but no one drops their kids off at the doctor. You remember those small things, but why is it the big important things that you really, really want, you just totally forget about, right? So you have to see it every single day. Mistake number 2 is doubting the possibility of achieving your conclusion. Now, we dive into this much further on a day upcoming in this challenge, but not believing that you can achieve your conclusion is the number 1 reason that you will completely block achieving that conclusion, right? 100%. So to overcome this, like, okay, I created that thing, but it's not like I'm going to be that thing. That's just not me. I don't achieve things like that. Nope. Zip. We're going to really transfer that out. And here's how you can get over that mistake. Hot tip number 1, surround yourself with reminders of what you are awesome at. Like we said earlier, maybe you are awesome at home organization, planning things for your family, your job, giving to your friends. So remind yourself how awesome you are at all of those other things. And then you think, how can I channel that awesomeness from being such a good friend and awesome at work into your health actions and beliefs. Okay. So it's that like confidence teleportation. And then hot tip number 2, you need to post a powerful story in a prominent place. So while becoming your ideal health self is a major accomplishment, you need to keep these like crazy underdog stories top of mind to remind yourself of some unimaginable feats that others were able to accomplish because they kept consistent. Now, one of the podcasts I listen to very nerdy podcasts, y'all, like business, entrepreneurial. I listen to health podcasts, but there's this podcast called Founders, and it's really talking through. This guy is reading biographies and autobiographies of the greats, right? And there's this amazing podcast episode about Estee Lauder and how she just like remained persistent and consistent. She had her vision, and then look where Estee Lauder is now. So things like that motivate me to keep going. So stories that doesn't have to be about business, doesn't have to be about work, but something that kind of pulls at your heart and pulls at your soul that you're like, how did they accomplish that? Geez, Louise. So keep those like underdog, did the impossible stories top of mind because it reminds you, it's not like, oh, well, she could do it, I can do it. It's more like it's possible. Like when you have a vision and you show up for it every day, magic is possible. So keep those top of mind. All right. Whew. We've covered a lot today, right? So we talked about consistency, number 1, in cracking your consistency code, which is your conclusion. We talked about the 3 reasons that you need a super defined conclusion. You got the 3 steps to building your ultimate vision of health. We talked about the 2 major mistakes that health seekers make with their conclusions. And then I gave you 2 tips to overcome these mistakes. So if you watch this all in one sitting, I recommend either going back and pausing and making sure you're taking action through this challenge. This challenge is not like listen and forget it. It is listen and do the work. Take the action, right? So you have your assignment for the day. Write down your conclusions, start making those goals and time frames. And this is really, and actually for the mistakes too, you can take action on those as well. But it's small steps, just like I said with that 25 point to-do list. Decide what you want to achieve today, what you want to achieve this week. Make it bite-sized and digestible, no pun intended, with the health challenge, so that you feel like you can genuinely get these small wins throughout the day, throughout the 5 days. So tomorrow, we are going to get into the second consistent C in the Crack Your Consistency Code Challenge and how to nail down your health purpose. And remember, your weight is not your why. So get ready to learn a lot deeper things here on day 2. If you have any questions, hit me up via email, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the things. My email is hello@wholehearty.com. Any email that you're receiving here for this challenge, when you reply, it goes directly to me. So I will read that and review it and let you know if I have any feedback or any answers for you. But congratulations on completing day 1, and I cannot wait to see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow.